Holistic connection. Let's heal. Holistic connection. Let's learn. Holistic connection. Let's grow. Holistic connection. Let's be real.
Hello, everyone. This is Pamela Topjian, your host for Holistic Connections Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And today I have Jennifer with me. So welcome, Jennifer. And if you could please share a little bit about yourself and explain what you do in the holistic healing space.
Sure. So thank you first, Pamela, for having me on. I think this is a really cool space that you have created here to educate people that want alternative methods. And there's not a lot of platforms out there that do this. So
Yeah,
yay.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, I'm Jennifer Dominguez, and I'm a modern day homeopath, and I'm known for my root cause approach. I'm also a family relationship trainer where I facilitate retreats and training programs and bring couples and families together and individuals that would like to be in partnership as well and train them on how to create more connection and intimacy both with their relationships and with themselves, because intimacy is really a skill that can be learned and mastered through practice. I train people on how to stay in connection with themselves and kind of choose themselves first, even during difficult times when things are uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, I'm an equine guided coach, which is like a luxurious passion of mine where I take my patients into the ring and I work with them there. Yeah.
So amazing. I've heard about that. And of course, I think we all have seen different equine therapy a lot of times with children with special needs and stuff like that. So I know on your website you said that you work with all ages and you work with pets. So who are the people that are mostly coming to you for the equine therapy?
Well, I would say a lot of women,
Yeah.
looking for empowerment. If you can step into a ring and learn to get through the barriers of the unconscious fear of working with this huge beast.
Powerful animal. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
if you can get the skill to stay anchored and centered in the ring with a powerful animal like that, you can bridge that into your own life.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I've not yet had an equine therapist on yet, so I'm excited to hear about that, more about that. But first, you have been doing this for 25 or over 25 years. Where did you start? So everything that you're doing now, did you start out doing all of that, or where did you start out with your holistic healing practice?
Yeah. I went back to school after I graduated from a totally different career to become a holistic healer
Yeah.
to become a homeopath because I was struggling with my own health issues for 23 years
Mm.
and my parents didn't know, any different. They did their best, like most parents, and I was jacked up with all kinds of medication
Mm.
and cortisones, and I wanted something different. So I went to a homeopath, and that was the only thing that could really heal me of different chronic diseases that I had. So I went back to school again and
Yeah.
became a homeopath and started my practice in Miami, Florida with Dr. Eric Ridlin, who's an iconic pediatrician who's now
Mm.
up in Virginia. And I got really lucky to work with such a great master. And so I started in pediatrics. And
Hmm.
through the years, it became more of a family practice as the parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles started to see these kids off medication and really thriving and being vital. They wanted that for themselves. And so that's where I started 25 years ago.
That's so interesting that you started out with pediatrics because I think that's an uncomfortable spot for a lot of practitioners in many different methods and modalities that they do. Pediatrics is kind of an area that some people are kind of afraid to go into with this. So that's really interesting that you started out there. So you were already comfortable there, and then you moved on to the adults from there. Yeah. Can you explain to people who might not know about homeopathy and what it is? And can you explain to people just a little bit about what that is, even what that means?
Sure. Homeopathy is an energetic medicine that was developed by Dr. Samuel Hahnemann back in the 1800s in Germany. I won't go into the whole history of homeopathy and the pharmacological aspects of it, but it is a form of medicine that is regulated by the FDA, and it's actually covered by national health care in many countries throughout the world and is a
Yeah.
very common sort of medicine in this country, United States, we used to have homeopathic hospitals, and it was
Mm,
really mainstream medicine at one point. Um, but as most alternative things in the world evolve, they kind of get pushed out as they become bigger. And so there's been this fight since the beginning of time with big pharma and holistic medicine, sadly, because it works
yeah.
beautifully. I've seen uncurable disease cured with this ancient medicine, and it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing too. You said with this ancient medicine, and a lot of times people refer to it as New Age, and it's been around longer than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these practices. So yeah, it's definitely something's been around much longer than the Western medical world would want you to think. So yeah, yeah, and definitely I've heard of a lot of almost, dare I say, miracle cures. I've heard also. So that's, yeah, it's just can be really amazing. And of course, there's not one thing that works for everybody, but it's definitely worth looking into if you're stuck, or if you're having symptoms that you don't know where they're coming from. Yeah, it's a good place to check out for sure.
Yeah, many people get
Yeah.
confused between homeopathy and naturopathic medicine.
Yeah.
They think homeopathy is naturopathy, and it's really not. It's its own system of medicine, just like acupuncture is, and
Hmm.
Ayurvedic medicine, and chiropractic, and holistic nutrition, and homeopathy. It's its own lineage. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. You mentioned on your website, and I mentioned a little bit that you work with pets. So how are you working with pets? And do you work with them through Zoom as well, or does it have to be in person?
I do work with them through Zoom. I'm not a claimed veterinary, so I don't
Right.
deal with deep pathology. A human or an animal, we have an immune system, right? That
Hmm.
works, very similar. And so for the basic things like diet and nutrition and even healing basic things like ear infections and
Hmm.
eye infections and skin infection, things that are not so deep, then natural medicine works beautifully. So I do consult on diet with pets. Um, and I've had animals my whole life, and I've
Yeah.
always had holistic practitioners take care of my animals. And so I've
Nice.
I've learned so much through the years with that. So I do work with the whole family, including the
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you find sometimes if you work with the whole family and a family with pets, a lot of times I think what's going on with the humans is also going on with the pets. Do you find that as well? Yeah.
100%. It's crazy how many times the animal has a similar condition as its owner.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they take on part of the pain so the human doesn't have to struggle as much.
Yeah, yeah. There's a quote somewhere that says, all dogs are therapy dogs, just some of them are working undercover or something like that. And I think that that goes for all animals. I think all animals are healers, regardless of any kind of training for therapy animals or anything. And like you said, they might take on what's going on with their humans. And I think it's just because have that deep connection, and they're just taking it on energetically, and then symptoms might show up. So I do a lot of pet sitting. So I notice behaviors in the household kind of show up in the pets as well. So it's kind of interesting. So can you talk a little bit more about the equine therapy and just explain more about that and how you do that?
Sure. Yeah, I think I'll bridge first to because the equine guided therapy came last. This is
Okay.
the last few years, and but about 10, 12 years ago, I recognized in my homeopathic practice that the humans were coming into my practice with physical pathology, and I could see a connection to their emotions and their
Mm,
feelings and
yeah.
the trauma that they had been through and the anxiety and the depression and panic and sadness and all of this and how much that is connected to the physical body. But I didn't have
Yeah.
the tools on how to navigate the patients emotionally because I'm not a therapist and I didn't
Hmm.
have training. So I went back to school again
Yeah.
and became certified in emotional integrative therapy. And I do
Mm,
emotional healing work now on people where this combination of bringing homeopathy mixed with emotional healing processes is just boom. It's a hugely massive partnership together in healing because our emotions and our feelings, if they are not felt and if they are not healed and they are suppressed, they can turn to physical pathology.
mm, yeah.
And when I discovered the tools on how to take people through emotional healing processes and train them, give them the tools to help navigate
Yeah.
themselves through their deepest pain and traumas and sadness and not suppress it and swallow it, they started having much deeper healing.
Yeah.
So for 10 years, I've been training people on how to create this type of connection and intimacy with themselves and healing their emotions. That is my favorite
Mm.
part of my work, just because, working in pediatrics, I can get a little bit tired of looking at, you know, yellow mucus and diarrhea. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But when I'm working with this invisible, energetic, emotional realm, and when people have
Yeah.
these shifts and things land in them and they have these aha moments and their life changes
Yeah.
and they start to fly, this nourishes me deeply. And I've been doing that for about 10 years, like I said, doing
Yeah.
trainings and retreats. But a few years ago, I had a patient, and I love this story. She came to me to do some emotional work because she was grieving the loss of her horse.
Mm,
And as she was sharing this story with me, I became so touched. I was crying with her.
mm,
She was sharing how the connection she had with this horse was so deep that it could almost read her mind. And when she
hmm.
was riding the horse, she was going through postpartum depression and she would just get on top of the horse and cry and cry. And she told me she would think and feel to turn a certain way, and the horse would go that way without her moving the reins. The connection
Wow.
is so deep. And
Yeah.
right now I'm getting chills and
Hmm.
triple chills. Uh, and I knew I had to explore that because, wow, that's very deep. So I went to Costa Rica and I did a retreat there with my family. And the whole time my body was buzzing and vibrating. And I said, this is my next step.
Yeah.
So I did a 2-year training program in Costa Rica and got certified in that work. And then I started taking my patients into the ring with the horses.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So do you have your own horses or do you go to a specific horse farm, I guess?
Yeah,
Ranch or
I work with different ranches in
yeah.
Miami, and I'm currently looking for a ranch in different areas to work with because I want to be out of the heat. It's hard to work with horses in the summer.
Yeah, I can imagine. I feel like I do have a connection with animals, but I never really felt too much with horses, which is really interesting to me because the people who have connection with horses, it's almost always a real deep connection or a real close connection. So there's something different, I think, about horses as far as being, I don't know if I want to say spiritual beings or they have the maybe more of like an intuition with the people who care for them or their owners or what exactly, but there always, almost always seems to be a deep connection. So there's something about horses, I believe, that is different than maybe dogs or cats or something.
Yeah, I can share a little bit about that if you'd like.
Yeah.
So horses are sentient beings
Mm-hmm.
and they're prey animals. And because they're prey animals, they have to have this heightened sense of awareness and sensitivity.
Mm,
And sadly, they have been used as a tool and during, been used in wars and have been
yeah.
treated with abuse and aggression. And it's very sad because they are so sensitive. I mean, they can feel a fly on their skin. You don't need to whip a horse to get them to move. They're so sensitive
Yeah.
energetically that you can just whoosh the energy around their rear area and they
Mm-hmm.
start to move. And
Yeah.
because they're so sensitive, they know how to read your intention.
Mm-hmm.
So they're master scanners. And in fact, their energetic field can go out. There's research that shows up to a mile they can sense
Wow. Yeah.
if they needed to in order to stay alive. And working with a horse, especially in a herd, is incredible because the horse's main objection is to be safe because they're
Mm-hmm.
prey animals. And
Yeah.
they do that through connecting with the other herd members and with the humans that are around them. And they want their herd to be strong.
Yeah.
And so if there is a herd member that is not strong, they work together to heal and to protect. And so they do this also with humans.
Mm,
When you're working with a horse, they become a mirror for you.
yeah.
And they can sense when you're feeling fear. And they can sense when you're feeling anger. And they will mirror that too. They will show you through their behavior.
Yeah.
If you're aggressive and you show up in a ring, they won't want to partner with you. They
Mm,
walk away. If you're really scared, this is going to bring another type of behavior in the horse. When a human learns to really stop treating the horse as a tool and partnering with them to do emotional work, it's a whole different relationship.
yeah.
And they're great masters at it.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Thank you for explaining that a little bit more. And I think that, um, it will help people who have horses or who work with horses, regardless of any type of healing or anything, but in any capacity. Anybody who has anything to do with horses should know this. So hopefully they do. And if not, hopefully they're listening and they learn.
Mm.
So what do you feel is the most misunderstood, or what aspect of what you do has the most misconceptions around it?
Yeah, this is a very dear and painful topic for me
Mm-hmm.
because I have been passionate about my work and being in the holistic field for even before I got started. For let's say
Sure.
for 40 years,
Yeah.
I've been sharing and passionate and reading and researching about this. And I think this idea that if you're not a medical doctor and trained from our institutions, which
Yeah.
are run by big pharma, then you're nobody.
Yeah.
And it's a disservice because there's incredible healers that don't have
Yeah.
that plaque on their wall.
Right.
And I feel sad for people that are not open, that have this rigidity, that only believe in science and the white coat and
Mm-hmm.
the institution. And it's strictly their own fear. And also people don't want to think they've been doing it wrong, especially when it comes
Mm.
to children.
Yeah.
They believe that they can trust their doctor, they can trust the system. But that's not been my experience for
Right.
30 years working with pediatricians in pediatric offices. This has not been the experience that I have witnessed.
Yeah.
I have seen thousands of clients and patients over the years. So I think this misconception that healers is witchcraft, and that if you're not licensed in our institutions, then your work is not valid. And I think this is really sad.
Yeah.
I would have
Well,
been
it's
there on the cross or in the village
yeah.
i- for the work that I do today. I'm not standing over people, making noises or doing any of this
Right.
shamanic I mean, it looks like a traditional medical office and
Hmm.
with homeopathic remedies and therapeutic sessions. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just has a lot to do with propaganda and marketing, and billionaires. I'm a former nurse myself, and there's lots of reasons, but part of why I had to get out of it was just the total corruption and unethical and practices going on. But yeah, so I get that and agree with you.
And you're very important for the world, having that authority of your training and experience working in the industry and then having a different perspective is
Yeah.
very important. And I really applaud you for being more vocal. I want you to be more vocal if you're not. I don't know you and know your work enough to know what you're doing in that realm, but I hope you can get out there and
Well, thank you.
yeah.
I wrote a book about my nursing career and why I left. So
Oh, well, I
yeah,
would love to read it. Please send me that link.
I will. Thank you.
I also wrote a book.
Yeah, let's talk about your book.
Yeah, sure. It's called From Seed to Bloom and
Yeah.
on Amazon. And the way this was born was the parents would come into my practice and they always wanted to know what are the top, 5 things, 10 things that I can do to keep my child healthy. And I have this ongoing list, and the
Yeah.
list turned into about 23 different things
Right.
that I thought were the most important things. And so that's the book. It's 23 chapters plus, a little extra. And it's really about the most important things that I have seen in my 30 years of practicing in homeopathy in the medical field and also in the emotional field. And I have it written in my book. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I love that title, From Seed to Bloom. And then the subtitle is Raising a Healthy Family in a Toxic World. That's much needed. So we'll definitely put that link below along with your websites. So where is the best place for people to reach you? And if you want to share any links that you want to share and your socials or any of that, go ahead and
Sure.
yeah.
I'm old school and just give me a call, or,
Yeah.
or text me or WhatsApp me. And my number is 305-761-7175.
Okay.
And my Instagram is Jennifer Vest Dominguez.
Okay. Yep.
And I also have a program called Intimacy Laboratory. There's also a handle on Instagram, and this is my training program for families. And I have a partner, Patricio Diaz, that I work with, and the two of us work in spaces together, training families on having more connection.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's so needed in this world. So thank you for the work that you do as well.
You're welcome. Especially, today with the technology, the phones and teenagers and all this.
Right.
I'm doing a lot of work. I have a master class coming up in November on that, where I'll be doing a 2-hour training on how to navigate through that. I mean,
Oh,
kids are
nice.
on their phones and the parents are begging them to be present and they don't know, they think they need more punishment and
Mhm.
uh, more discipline, but they actually don't. They need more connection. And so we
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. I know that this has gone by pretty quickly, but I think we got a lot of good information out there.
this has been really fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're listening or you're watching, please look at the description below or the show notes or wherever you are because all of her links will be there. And I highly suggest that you check her out. So thanks again, Jennifer.
Thank you, Pamela.